transition evening. Before we get going for our formal presentation, I just want to show you a couple of pictures of daily life at Gibbons Middle School. This is our robotics team. Some kids that were doing Project 351 a couple of years ago. The robotics team is one of a bunch of clubs that is just super popular here at Gibbons. So we'll get into a lot of detail about the clubs, but one of the things that you'll hear throughout our presentation and throughout your middle school experiences, as you get a little bit older, you're going to get a little bit more freedom and a little bit more responsibility. And the wealth of clubs and after-school activities that we have is an example of that, and Robotics Club is one of those clubs that you can get involved in if you want to. More daily life pictures here, some classwork in our cafeteria. Kids having a good time there. Art class and our wood tech class. The wood tech, one of their final projects is building a mechanical arm that's driven by pneumatic, and that's an 8th grade class, and art is also an 8th grade class. We have our Gibbons Got Talent pictures, as well as chorus pictures, and our Sandy Hook Promise assembly that we had earlier in the year. Gibbons Got Talent has been going on for 18 years. It's a talent show that we have on the last day of school, showcasing kids and their incredible wealth of talent. Frankie, our comfort dog, is here every Wednesday with his handler, Stephanie. And that's a picture of our 8th grade exceptional science teacher in Martin Chair doing a demonstration in class, in science class. Some kids having fun at the dance. More kids having fun. With striking a really good pose. So, as I mentioned, I'm Jack Foley, current principal of Gibbons Middle School. So I've been here for 16 years, and I am retiring at the end of the year, as you may know. And we're very fortunate to have Mr. Scott Connery, our incoming principal, here as well, who will be doing some of the presentation. Mr. Connery has spent a number of days here. He was here all day today. He's planning on being here for another couple of days, such that we have a very smooth transition between the programming from this year as well as moving into next year. What you see is what you get. There's not going to be any massive changes. There will certainly be some refinement, because obviously we have areas of refinement that Mr. Carter will notice and improve on. We have Ms. McCann, our able assistant principal, Ms. Tagliatella, our student services coordinator, Mr. Gander, our currently 8th grade, soon to be 7th grade school counselor. So our school counselor is Luke. So he will be your school counselor for the next 2 years. Exceptional professional. Ms. Innes, our math department chair, will be doing an extensive discussion about math. We will get to that. And Mr. Sullivan, our world language director, for the first time, your children will be able to study world language, and we offer both French and Spanish, and Mr. Sullivan will give you all the details on that. So, first of all, we want to welcome you to Gibbons and establish a positive relationship and make sure that you feel welcome. And one of the really nice enhancements to this program is asking and inviting the rising 7th grade class to come so that we can meet you and get eyes on you, and you can see us and start to get a sense of the difference, the similarities between Bill Bonnier here and the growth that you're going to experience while you're here. Get some eyes on some of the important people that you're going to be interacting with on a daily basis. So tonight we're going to do a general program overview. We will get into the weeds on some real specific details, but we cannot get into the nuance. I wish we could, but we can't get into the nuances of individual student situations tonight. We absolutely will, and we can set aside time to talk to you about, what's going on, with your individual child. But we really can't do that tonight. We will be available after the presentation. If you have some more specific questions, we'll have a question and answer period at the end of the presentation, and then we'll be available to answer some more nuanced questions. But we really can't do a deep dive into any one student tonight. We just have too many folks. And obviously, this is a big change. So we want to ease the predictable anxiety for both mom and dad as well as rising 7th grader that, it's going to be okay. It's really going to be okay. We've done this a bunch of times. We know where the pressure points are, and it's a really good school. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we've done here. We have a fantastic 7th grade and a fantastic school. You're going to have a wonderful experience at Gibbons Middle School. So, we're going to go over the agenda and the course selection timeline, the academic, the student services overview, math placements and leveling. So obviously, it's the first time that kids are going to be placed in level classes. We only have level classes in math. We know that's a big deal. We have a lot of information to share with you about that. It's the first time that kids take a world language and the music ensembles and the music ensemble selection. More than half of our school is involved in our music program, and it sounds unbelievable. It sounds like you're walking past a college orchestra or band at times. It sounds so good in here. We'll go over our transition support, how we can help out if you have any questions along the way, and as well as I mentioned, Gibbons does interscholastic sports, so if you are on one of our sports teams in the fall or the winter time, we will be playing like Melican and Trottier and Crafton and the Shrewsbury teams as well. And we'll have some time, as I mentioned, for questions and answers. Okay, here we are, April 16th tonight on transition night. Everybody has a homework assignment that Mr. Foley, the principal, gave to you as you were walking in. Okay? Everybody has a homework assignment. That homework assignment is to enter your world language selection and music selections into Power School. Music selections if you want to do that. Half the school is involved in band, chorus, orchestra. Half the school is not. I was never a musician. I would not have done that. But everybody does have to take a page of world language, unless you're in a really specialized program, and we can get into that in a little bit. So we're going to open up the Power School portal such that everybody can complete their homework assignment by tomorrow afternoon. And then hopefully by the week after we get back from vacation, everyone will have that done, and we can figure out how many French sections we need for next year and how many Spanish sections we need for next year. Typically around Memorial Day, so right after Memorial Day, the last week of May, the first week of June, Bill Pond will be sending you letters about where your students have been placed for math for next year. And we will get into the whole process around that. And around that time, you will get a letter from Bill Pond and the placement process, all the steps that went into that over the course of your 6th grade year. We have a lot of information to share about that. We offer, and this Innes will speak to, math placement tests and appeal process. We do that all throughout the course of the summer. We don't release our schedules typically until 2 weeks before school starts. I know high school does it earlier, but high school's already started to schedule their building right now. We don't have the luxury of doing that. So our scheduling process is going to start as soon as school ends. So we won't have them ready to go until 2 weeks before school starts. So that's when you're going to find out where your teams are, as well as everything else about your schedule. Our schedule is incredibly complex. Everybody gets everything that they want, so it's a lot to break down the 3.5 teams such that they're all balanced, they all have harness math, they all have band, they all have orchestra, they all have everything, and everybody gets exactly what they want. That takes a really long time. So that's why we don't release the schedules until just before school starts. And we're still going through the math leveling and placement process. So it's very possible for someone to have a math level change towards the middle of August or so, and that's going to change their team, and that's going to change everything else. So we don't release the teaming and we don't release the schedules until just before school starts. Also just before school starts, we have Open Door Day, in which we send you your schedule. They're available in Power School at that point. You come in, you find your locker, and you set up your locker, and you get to go around the building and figure out where your classes are. On that same day, you pick up your Chromebook. So it's a really nice day. It's just kind of a get-to-know-you day, low-key, low pressure. There aren't a lot of teachers in the building. The whole administrative team is here. The guidance counselors are here. Get your Chromebook, open up your locker, get your locker set up, and find out where your team is going to live. And then we start school. Okay, course selection information, we do it through the Power, so from now on, all the way up through senior year, everything is going to be done through Power School. All your course selection stuff is going to be done through Power School, your grades are going to be through Power School, everything is going to be done through Power School. So hopefully you have a login and that you're familiar with it already, and we can get going on that. We have some live links down here, and I sent this whole slide deck over to Mr. Slomsky and Mr. Gilnitz and Ms. Robertson just a couple of minutes ago, and they're going to send it up on Parent Square first thing tomorrow. So everybody will have this whole slide deck. Unfortunately, and my responsibility, I don't have access to the 6th grade Parent Square privileges, so I can't send you stuff. I have to send it to Mr. Gilnitz, and then Mr. Gilnitz sends it along to you. So that's kind of the communication we have. So we got some nice tutorials there if you're stuck, as well as the directions for our course selection process. And we're going to open up the portal tomorrow on the 17th. Okay. This is the stuff that typically, in my experience here, the kids are really, really focused on. Lockers, lunches, snacks, and cell phones, okay? So that's what I'm going to defer to Mr. Connery on the cell phone, but I'm going to do lockers, lunches, and snack, all right? So there's a lot that's going to be very, very, very similar to 6th grade. It's going to feel very, very similar. You're going to be on a team, and your whole team and the whole 7th grade is going to be in one wing of the building. And you're going to live in this wing of the building for most of the year, okay? So our teams are color coordinated. So we have, in the 7th grade wing, we have the red team, the yellow team, the orange team, and half of the maroon team. So for most of the day, if you're on red team, you're going to go from your English class in room 11 to your math class in room 10, right across the hall, okay? And you're going to go right across the hall for your social studies class in room 12, and then right across the hall for your science class in room 9, okay? So most of the day, you're just going back and forth across the hall for the 4 major periods of the day. And Mr. McCann will get into and show you the whole demographic, the whole graphic of what your schedule is going to look like laid out over the 6-day cycle, and we'll get into that in a little bit. This is a small school. Physically, it's a small school. We have 2 sets of stairs. Each of those sets of stairs has 5 steps in it, okay? So it's a small school. You will not get lost. Okay. On the first couple of days of school, on the first day of school, you will be given a schedule that is color-coded to your team. So you will have, if you're on red team, a schedule that is printed on red paper. Okay? So if all of our teachers are out in the building, you know, I think Ms. McCann walked 9 miles on the first day of school last year. So if you have a red schedule and you're someplace in the building where it's supposed to be yellow, we will redirect you in the right place. Okay? So don't worry about it. And what you're going to see is on those first couple of days of school, everybody on the red team is going to have their red schedules out. Okay, you're all going to be walking down the hall with your red schedules in your hand, so that you know we are all going to the same place, because you're all going to be going to the same places. Okay, so if you're not on team, more than likely you're going to be going to one of our Spanish classes or French classes, which are room 2, room 3, 39, 37, and 36, directly across from the library. Okay, that's not a very far walk. Or you're going to be going down to our specials wing, which is directly behind us, the robotics lab, which is a fantastic class in room 48, or our music room in room 42, or our health class in room 17. So your world is going to be very, very small next year. Okay, this is not a big building. We can find you quickly. Okay, so don't worry about it. And you'll go to the gym once, twice a cycle, Mr. Ken. We'll share that with you. Okay, you're going to have a bunch of teachers next year. You're going to have a bunch of classes. So you could have as many as 11 classes over the course of the year, because we rotate on a trimester basis, and you could be in band, or you could do the music fellows want to take band and chorus. So you could have a whole bunch of classes, because we offer a very, very robust opportunity here. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that you can do for middle school. You're going to change class every period. We don't do bells Here, it's really not necessary because, as I showed you on the previous slide, you just go back and forth across the hall for most of the day. And the whole school knows what the bell schedule is, so it becomes quite natural quite quickly in terms of where you have to be. Homework, this is a big one, and this is one, parents, please get your listening ears on for this one. We absolutely do not want 7th grade homework to take over your family, okay? So, are you gonna get homework? Yes. Is this an academically rigorous building? Yes. But it's not gonna take over your life, okay? So you can anticipate a max of a half hour of homework per night per major class. So on a big night, that's probably gonna be about 2 hours, maybe a little bit more than 2 hours. If something is going on for an extended period of time, your son or daughter is really frustrated, this is going on, stop. Pull the plug. Write a note to the teacher, send an email to the teacher. They were working diligently on this for over an hour. I told them to stop. We will follow up from there. There was a miscommunication in there. We don't want this to become, a source of anxiety or a source of family frustration. We are going to challenge you. We are absolutely going to challenge you, but we want it to be an appropriate challenge. Okay, so please remember that. Homework is important. It's an important part of academic growth. We do not want it to take over your family's life. Lockers. This is the big one for rising 7th graders. I've been doing this for a long time. This is the big pressure point because it's a tangible source of anxiety. The kids know that there's a locker. They've never done the locker before. What if I can't open a locker? What if I'm late to class because I can't open a locker? And it just kind of spirals. Please take that off of your worry list, okay? Every 7th grader goes through this, and it takes a little while and a little practice to learn the right, left, right combination to get the locker open. Sometimes the locker's jammed, they're about 45 years old. It happens, don't worry about it. Every single 7th grade teacher has a locker key on them. We all have locker keys. We do this on a daily basis. Don't worry about the locker. We have a locker video that we will send out to you, and I personally, a number of years ago, brought a small bank of lockers, official Gibbons Middle School lockers, over to Mill Pond, and they're in one of the counselor's office. So if you're worried about opening your locker, you can practice on the Gibbons lockers in your counselor's office, and or mom or dad, you can buy a combination lock, an inexpensive combination lock at CVS, and have son or daughter practice the right, left, right combination. This is a big one, and I've seen a lot of kids in a lot of anxiety and frustration at their lockers on the first couple of days of school. Don't worry about it, kids. Everybody goes through that. You're not going to get in trouble. Mr. Connery's going to have his locker keys. Mr. McCann's going to have his locker keys. Mr. Gannon's going to have his locker keys. Ms. Tabby's going to have her locker keys. We will get through that. Don't worry about it. It's a mini rite of passage, okay? The locker. Hallways, this is one of the differences between us and Mill Pond. And again, this is you're going to get a little bit older, you're going to get a little bit more freedom, and with that little more freedom comes a little bit more responsibility. So we're not going to escort you as a class with a teacher from point A to point B. You're a 7th grader at this point, you're mature enough to be able to walk independently from point A to point B. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not going to, Mr. Connery is going to be in the hallway watching you walk from point A to point B to ensure that everyone gets to where they're supposed to go and everything is happening as it should. That will absolutely happen, and our teachers are absolutely in the hallways at all times, monitoring said movement, but you're not moving as a small cohort from place to place. We're going to give you a little bit more trust when you're moving throughout the course of the building. So there's some good things about moving up, and there's some things about moving up. So one of the really good things, and I'm going to still defend Mr. Connery, I apologize ahead of time, you get to sleep in a little bit. Okay, so our school start time is half an hour later than Mill Pond. Okay, so that's a really nice thing for everybody involved. However, there's no recess.
No.
So this is a rigorous academic program. We don't have the time in our schedule to build in a formal recess period. When the weather is nice, and you can see it as you're heading up, we do allow kids to walk on the track that we set up out in our courtyard at lunch. So when the weather's nice, kids can eat outside at one of the picnic tables out there, and then after they're done eating, they can walk the track in the courtyard. And that's kind of our homage to recess. And with that, Ms. Carter.
Good evening, everybody. So the good news for all you incoming 7th graders, your first day here at Gibbons Middle School, also my first day here at Gibbons Middle School. So as anxious and nervous as you feel, I promise you, I've got your beat. All right? So the first note here is about social media and phones. You may or may not have heard this today, but it just came out today that the Massachusetts House has actually passed a bell-to-bell cell phone lock for all public schools in Massachusetts. So not just here at Gibbons Middle School, at all schools in the state moving forward, phones will no longer be allowed. I'm currently at a school that has yonder vouchers, so I've worked with them for 3 years and we do not have phones in my building. I can tell you the difference as students mature between having a phone and not having a phone is phenomenal. Their focus is on their work, their focus is no longer on that fear of missing out. Did someone post a picture that I wasn't in? Or is someone texting each other making plans and I'm going to be left out? That becomes consuming. So the removal of the phones from that process makes a huge difference in students' ability to focus on their day-to-day academics, and it takes away their anxiety. So that's a great step forward. We will not be having phones here during the day. Again, bell-to-bell ban for all schools in Massachusetts, but definitely here at Gibbons Middle School. I would like to, as parents, if you have chosen to let your students have phones, please make sure you're monitoring their social media. As they get older, that becomes more important. Their focus may change, their maturity may change, and their ability to kind of filter what they're putting out there doesn't always keep pace with that. So please make sure you keep an eye on that as we move forward through the year. But at all times, if you need to get in touch with a student, you can always just call the high school, call the middle school student, call the main office. That is the easiest way to get in touch. If there's a change of plans for who's picking someone up or where they're going after school, if someone needs to be dismissed, call the main office and we'll take care of it from there, just like we did in the 80s and 90s when many of us were in school ourselves before the cell phones became popular. We all survived. Your kids will do a great job surviving and adapting to that as well. As Mr. Foley just said, school hours, we share the same bus as the high school. Now, initially that might sound scary that you have 7th and 8th graders on the bus with high school kids, but for the majority of the upper class at the high school, they drive themselves anyway. So you're really just sharing with most of the 9th and 10th graders. If you think back a few years ago, you were probably on the bus with many of them in previous schools as well. So realistically, it's not, you're going to very rarely be on the same bus as a 11th and 12th grader. It's really just the lower ages there. But again, you do get to sleep in an extra half hour, which I'm very much looking forward to, so I hope you guys are as well. We come in at 7:45. Students need to be heading to their classes by 8:05. And in the meantime, there is a grab-and-go breakfast. Students generally pool up in 3 different areas, in this room, in the gymnasium, and in the cafeteria. So we do have monitors there, keeping an eye on everybody, make sure it's a great start to their day. And we're here to support everybody to get moving forward. Late bells at 8:10 and dismissals at 2:37. We do have late buses Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If there are events after school you'd like your child to stay for, we have administrators here right up to the late buses dismissals as well. So there'll always be an administrator in the building keeping an eye on the students while they're here. As mentioned, we do have snacks. Lunches and snacks are here. So there's the grab-and-go breakfast available 7:55 to 8:08, as I just mentioned. Each team has their own determined snack time. So they're separated by the teams, and you are teamed up for lunch as well. So you'll see orange and purple teams have lunch together, blue, red, and maroon together, yellow and green together, each at a set time. None of these lunch times split a class time. So they come at the end of period 4, the beginning of period 5, the end of period 5. There's no classes that go to lunch, come back, and go with a gap in the middle. So we do make sure that they have a focus on academics the entire time. And lastly for me, I think they were worried about me, they only gave me 4 slides. That was a nice intro, so I'll take that. My last slide is that you will, as the week before school starts, you'll have the opportunity to come in for the open door day, and you'll be picking up your Chromebooks then if you come in. Chromebooks are going to be with you for 3 years. You'll keep them all the way through freshman year. Chromebooks are a secondary tool. They are not the driving force for education here. You will be using them when it's appropriate, but the students will not be on screens for 7 hours at a time. I was here all day today. I went through class after class after class. I would say I saw students on Chromebooks 20–25% of the time. For the most part, they were working with peers, they were working with hands-on assignments, they were working with teachers. But Chromebooks, again, they're a tool. We use them appropriately. They are not driving education, so you don't have to worry about your child being on a Chromebook for the entire day. That is not the focus here. It's not what we do. And moving on to student services. Thank you all.
Hi everybody, can you guys hear me okay? So I'm Catherine Taylor-Teller, I'm the Student Services Coordinator here at Gibbons. So if your student is on an IEP, you'll see me at all meetings. And I'm also just a resource for all students, making sure they feel supported. So some of the supports here at Gibbons, so we have a wonderful school counseling department made up of 2 school counselors. We have 2 school adjustment counselors and 1 school psychologist. Something great about this is those are available to all students based on their needs. And so we make that determination here if someone may be facing some social emotional challenges. All of those staff are available to them, which is great. We also have a therapeutic program, and it's a really flexible program to support students with social, emotional, and mental health needs. The goal here is to build skills to make sure they are able to participate in their school day, participate in the classes. Some uses of that program may be if a student's returning from a hospitalization. We also use it as a place if a student had an extended absence and needs to slowly re-enter back into school. That is a place and resource for them. It's really well staffed and we have some great teachers in that program. We also have the district accommodation plan, and if you are not familiar, this is available to all students, and it has a variety of accommodations to help students access the curriculum. And so this is available. Teachers are very aware of the district accommodation plan, and if we're feeling like a student is struggling, this is definitely a resource that we can look into and determine if some specific accommodations in there would help students better succeed in the classroom. We also have a great ELL department. We have 2 teachers here. They have support and student support and instruction for students whose English is not their first language. And there's different models. We have co-taught. We also have some small groups that they run. Again, just a great program. And additionally, if you come up with a 504 IEP, we have those here. Also something you can navigate if your student was having difficulty, again, accessing that curriculum. So in terms of special education, we have a continuum of services here. For inclusion support, we have classes supported by paraprofessionals. We also have co-taught classrooms, meaning there's a general education teacher and a special education teacher in that classroom working together. We also have some specialized programs based on student needs that can focus in on some small group instruction. And then we have academic support, which happens 7th period. It coincides, everyone in the school has academic support. And so it's a great block to get some extra help, but we also have academic support for special education where you're receiving that specially designed instruction. And then we have related services, very similar to Milton. We have a speech and language pathologist here. There's occupational therapy, physical therapy, counseling, and reading services. And those services are determined by your IEP team at your school. I'm sure there have already been conversations at team meetings. If you've had your IEP, and there'll be some additional transition work happening in May and June with the student services coordinators down there. And just lastly of note, Gibbons Middle School is an inclusive educational environment, meaning We want students to remain in the general education setting to the greatest extent possible with supports and services. And we really foster that collaborative and integrated relationship amongst their peers.
Good. Hello, everyone. I probably don't need this if you know me. Apologies, I have a little bit of a raspy voice today. I'm going to go over the 7th grade academics overview. As Catherine, as Ms. Tagliatella told everyone, we have a very robust program and there is a lot of continuity, a lot of teaching. We use a co-teaching model in our classes. So the teaching is, we work to be seamless between the special educator and the content area teacher, and or the ELL teacher and the content area teacher. These teachers meet daily to plan along with all different things. They work in that cohort model. Can I have a show of hands of all of the incoming students? Incoming students, okay. You guys, I'm sure these are your favorite slides, right? How much work we have to do? The academic program overview. We do a trimester system. Our daily schedule, I'll show you what one looks like in a minute. It's 7 periods long, 50 minutes each. And again, as Mr. Foley mentioned, we do not have bells during transition times. Students just line up outside the next classroom. It makes the day really seamless. It makes it, rather than students packing up, getting ready, waiting for that bell to ring, the educators control the classroom times. Obviously, I'll talk in a minute, we have math, English, science, and social studies. This will be world language for the first time. And students take specials. There's 3 in 7th, 3 in 8th. In 7th grade, they do music, health, and robotics, and they had phys ed twice in a cycle. Any students that don't take music, be it band, chorus, orchestra, will have academic support. So again, as Mr. Foley said, there sometimes is that fear of with homework. But the end of our day, our 7th period, is an academic support period wherein you can get help from teachers, you can start your homework, you can ask questions, teachers will reteach material. If you have a child on an IEP, general education students are having it at the same time. So everyone is in that mode and they're able to kind of work together. If you look up here, this is what a schedule could look like. Don't stress, I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit. Again, 7 periods. We operate on a 6-day schedule, A through F. 4 core classes, the specials, world language, and then academic support. If we break it down a little bit, so you see it even, all right, there we go. So this student, for example, has homeroom to start, then robotics, math, English, Spanish, social studies, science, and then again, gets to go to support at the end of the day. We do not rotate our core classes or our world languages. Those are at the same time every day. And you might notice this student, for example, rather than doing robotics the next day, is going to go to their sectional. We're really, really lucky here. We have such a robust music program. Our students not only have the large group settings for chorus, band, and orchestra, they have smaller sectionals according to their instrument. And again, that's done in the rotation. So, a little bit about curriculum. I won't read these to you. There is a big transition, a fear of for students. This is the first time you're getting grades. So prior to this, right, you're doing standards-based type thing. Don't worry. We grade on effort. We teach you what each letter grade means. We're willing to work with you. So fear not at all. 7th grade curriculum is systems and cycles. 3 major units of study. I'm going to be sending these slides out so you can look at them further. English class, they do quite a bit with identity. The writing rigor tends to move up increasingly. Our English department is working on how to weave grammatical to make more sophisticated sentence structures. They're working quite a bit with book clubs, as Mr. Connery mentioned. We're not on Chromebooks a lot. There's a lot of engagement, a lot of students working together, having discussions. Social studies, ancient Civ is what these are some of the topics they will be studying. quite a bit of project-based learning and a lot of real hands-on work here. And I'm sure that sometimes there's questions about mathematics, am I correct? A little bit? So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Ms. Innes, our department chair, and Green math teacher.
Hi, everyone. My name is Meredith Innes, or Ms. Innes. I'm an 8th grade math teacher for the new team, and also the math department head. And I'm here because math is a little bit different at Gibbons than it was at Milton. So there's information I want to give you about the structure of the courses and the different levels. At Milton, you guys were all in Math 6, or your grade 6 math, and as you come into 7th grade, you can see there are 2 different levels, and then in 8th grade even more, so there are 3 levels. And the Math 7 and 8 courses that you see there, those are challenging courses, integrated math topics across geometry, statistics, algebra, aligned with the state standards. But we also have our honors courses, which I think it can be even more helpful maybe to think of those as like a compacted math track, because what we're trying to do with those 2 honors courses is have students go through 3 years of math in 2 years. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of how the pacing might differ, and also how the expectations for independent work and homework might differ in those courses. Also, you can see in 8th grade, there's a course called Math 8 Key Concepts, which is also a grade level math course. It has some benefits for students who might need a little bit more support in different areas, building some foundational skills, but still learning about grade level concepts. And they often are smaller class sizes, often co-taught, so they have additional supports. So again, there are a lot of slides about math in here, which you guys will be able to access. So I'm not going to read everything, but you can see that the parallel between Math 7 and Math 7 Honors, you're going to learn about the same content. But in Math 7 Honors, in most of the units, you're going to be also learning 8th grade math standards that are built in. And the only way to do that in the same amount of time is to move faster and do a little bit more work independently. We strive to place students in the class where we think that they can be the most successful, the highest level class where we think they can be the most successful. And I'll talk about that placement process in a moment. You will receive a letter, I believe, from Mill Pond, from Mrs. Dean and Mr. Gilnitz at the end of May that will indicate your child's math placement, at least the school's recommendation, based on different criteria. And that is kind of your first step, I think, for conversation about whether or not that's a good fit for your student. There are also different pathways, both at the middle school and in high school, to move from one track to another at the end of each year, deciding if that course was a good fit or not. So typically Math 7 honors students would move on to Algebra 1 honors in 8th grade. But some decided it wasn't the best fit and might decide to go on to Math 8. And the same thing is true for Math 7 students. You can see there's no arrow here from Math 7 to Algebra 1 honors. That doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity to move into an honors course in 8th grade. It's a little bit more challenging because the Math 7 honors course is learning a lot of the 8th grade content. And so we offer a possible pathway by placement test, which I'll talk about more in a moment as well. So on these slides, you can see there are different prerequisites. We do look at grades, we look at performance over the course of the year to help us try to make the best decision we can about placement. And this is just a quick snapshot of, again, even more levels that you'll see as you enter high school. More and more classes will be leveled in different subjects, but in math in particular, you have geometry level 5, level 4, there's all different opportunities, even for those students in Math 8 to move into an honors program if they're ready for it at that time. And this slide just highlights that. This has been going on now for many years, but it was a shift when I first started working at Gibbons, where we wanted to think about ways to provide more opportunity for students to move into an honors pathway if they weren't in an honors course in the middle school. And so we do have an Algebra 1 Level 4 or honors course at the high school now in grade 9. There are often questions about what do I do if I don't get a placement into an honors course, or if I disagree received a recommendation from teachers. We're happy to talk about it. Mrs. Dean at Mill Ponds and myself at Gibbons are happy to answer questions. And we also, as Mr. Foley mentioned before, offer a summer placement test. We will have a registration form for that on the Gibbons website in the first week of June. In the last 2 years, we've offered test dates during the school year, so at the end of June before summer, because we know a lot of families travel, so we will do that again this year. We also offer typically one test date in late July and one test date in early August, so that we can try to provide families with as much flexibility as possible. We post resources on the Gibbons website too in terms of what topics to review, how to prepare, but that's a personal decision as a family that you would make if you wanted to try to place into a different course than what you were recommended for. There are some students and families who try to place into a course and maybe don't perform as they hoped. And so the question is still, what do we do then? But we still want to try an honors program. And so we do have a waiver process where you would reach out to Mrs. McCann or Mr. Connery to discuss a waiver. Not all waivers are approved, but we really do try to think about the whole student and look at as many data points as possible when making the decision.
Thanks, Mary. Really nice job. I just want to focus back a little bit on that. So we've worked really hard over the years to provide and balance a really high-powered academic curriculum that is extensive, with providing as many people and families opportunities for advanced studies as possible. And that's a delicate balance. So we, a number of years ago, mirrored the high school practice of offering summer tests. And it's a good tool, it's a good test. There are a number of kids that actually pass the test every single year. What we don't want, and I have seen this happen a number of times over the years, kid gets placed into a math class, right out of the gate, and they're swamped. They're over their head. It's difficult for them to recover from that. Okay, so what we absolutely don't want is kids that are overwhelmed academically to start their 7th grade year in a math class. That's what we're really trying to avoid. We're trying to balance that with providing opportunity for everybody to challenge themselves. And as the last bullet point says, it's really common for kids who take the math placement test into the class and or who get waived into the class to work really hard and still earn average grades. So that's part of this calculus of, and your kids, okay? And this is developmental. They just may not be graded for it right now. Okay, that doesn't mean they're not going to be graded for it a year from now, but they may not be graded for it now. But again, we want to provide an opportunity for people and kids to challenge themselves as much as possible. So we do the math waiver. So to do a math waiver, you have to take the placement test. And the placement test results have to be close, okay? Close, not 20 points off. If you take the math placement test and you're 20 points off, there's a very good chance all the other indicators were there that you weren't ready, and this final indicator is way off. You're just not ready for it, okay? And that's what Ms. McCann said, that not all the waivers are approved because it's not going to be a good fit for everybody. And we absolutely don't want to scare anybody about this. We have some fantastic, absolutely fantastic 7th grade math teachers. It's a wonderful program, but this is a hot button in terms of your placement. We know that, we've been doing this for a long time. We want to provide as many opportunities as possible, but at the same time, again, I'll repeat myself again, because this is kind of where we're at. We want to make sure that it's a good fit for everybody. So, with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bobby Sullivan, and I am the 7th-12th language director, and I'm also a proud teacher of one section, sometimes two, of 7th grade French. So as Mr. Foley said earlier in the presentation, the expectation mentioned that most students take world language in 7th and 8th grade at Gibbons. However, earlier you will recall that Ms. Tagler did a fabulous job talking about different student services, including students on an IEP and ELL. If your student is an English language learner or on an IEP, depending on the level of student services that are identified by the team in 6th grade, that will determine if they will have the flexibility in their schedule to take world language. But for those who do have the flexibility, which is most, you will choose either French or Spanish, and you will do the novice or year 1 curriculum over 2 years at Gibbons. If you came in late, be sure on your way out to get one of the how-to sheets on the table just through the doors where you entered. It is very helpful when you're selecting your world language choice, French or Spanish, as well as if you choose to do any wind ensembles, if your student is in a band, orchestra, or chorus. Also, we kindly ask that you do that in a timely manner. As Mr. Foley said, that is one of the important data points that we need before we begin the long and important process of doing the schedule build. When students leave 8th grade, they go to French 2 or Spanish 2 at the high school, and then we also have the option of students can switch to French students can switch to Spanish or Mandarin, and then Spanish students can switch to French or Mandarin based on their preference and interest. And if you, depending on your 9th grade schedule, some students even take 2. I wanted to just very quickly speak about heritage language learners. And basically this means that if your student, their home language is French or Spanish, please consider having them not take their home language at the middle school. If your child is a French or Spanish speaker at home and is interested in doing some reinforcement or early literacy in their home language, including Mandarin, we recommend that you wait to the high school where you can take a placement test, and as Ms. Ennis was saying, be in a class that is an appropriate level of challenge and rigor for your student. Lastly, I just wanted to speak briefly about the proficiency-based instruction model that we use at Gibbons and Westboro High School. This is consistent with the national standards and state framework, and basically it's just noteworthy because it's very different from world language instruction in the United States in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And that there are no textbooks or explicit verb conjugations. Rather, the focus is on real-world relevant communicative tasks, authentic videos, texts, movies, books, children's books, etc. And if you are interested in learning more about that approach, this is a great instructional video that you can watch at your leisure when Mr. Gilman and his team push that out early tomorrow, I believe. That's all for me. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it back to Mr. Gandrup, who will be your child's counselor, to tell us a little bit about student life.
Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Gandrup. Call me Mr. G, whatever. I'm happy with anything. I'm going to talk a little bit about student life, student support, a lot of really fun things here to expect next year. So music ensemble selection, super important. Like we've been saying a bunch, make sure you get those in. Our music ensembles, like Mr. Foley said earlier, are fantastic. It's really fun to watch. We have concerts just for students, and there's more students up on stage performing for our school. It's pretty cool to watch. It is a lot of fun. If you're on the fence, not sure whether or not to do it, highly recommend trying it out. I think it's a great option to do. It's a lot of fun. Our teachers are fantastic. And if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to talk about it. Sports teams. So sports are a new thing here. There's a lot of fun. We have sports in the fall, winter, spring. In the fall, we have cross country and football. In the winter, we have basketball. In the spring, track, baseball, and softball. Some of those teams are teams you have to try out for. So, when the fall comes around, be on the lookout for sign-up. There's links to our website to sign up for family ID, different things. Some things cost fees, some don't. But if you're interested in playing those sports, go try out. Have a lot of fun with it. We have some great coaches. I will say, I coached track and field a couple of years ago. They're very popular things. Make sure, if you're interested, be on the lookout from our team of sending out parent square messages for signups. I believe the track team has like 100 kids on it, and I think 160 signed up. So be on the lookout, make sure you register for all that stuff on time. Make sure if you're interested, you have a physical on file, especially for the fall team. If you're interested in playing on one of those fall sports teams, make sure you get a physical done over the summer, make sure it's on file with our school nurse, or else you will not be able to try out with the team right away. Music groups, theater, intramurals. We have some great audition music groups. There's a lot of different ones you can do. After school activities, some meet before school even, I believe. We have a fall play and a spring musical, which is through Skyrise that comes over and runs those for us. They're a lot of fun. Try out, see how it goes. Highly recommend getting involved in these. Intramurals, another big one. Intramurals here are very, very popular. Again, like I said, with track and all those other sports, make sure you are on the lookout for signups. We have a couple different ones throughout the year. When I get to the club page, you'll be able to see on our website, you can see a link to all the different clubs and activities. You can look at the dates, make sure you're available to do them. Those meet on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's when we have late buses available, so they're after school. Again, please sign up early. We get a lot of email calls after they've started, registration is closed. It gets really tricky to navigate through those situations. So really pay attention to sign-ups, get registered, please get involved in them. They are a lot of fun. The kids have a blast. Sometimes the teachers come out and play after school, and it's a really fun time to go cheer one out there. Clubs and activities. So this is a tiny, tiny, tiny list compared to what we have. Our clubs and activity list is massive. All of our different clubs run at different times throughout the year. Some are full year, some might not start till the spring, some might only run in the winter. The other really cool thing about Gibbons is when you look at our list, there's a club that you don't see. You can always start a new club. We had a new one start pretty recently in the fitness room after school. It's a lot of fun. Make sure if you're interested in starting a club, you can come up and talk to me next year. I'll help you through the process and get that started. But take a look on our school website. You can see what we're running this year. You can get an idea of timelines, stuff you might be interested in. Again, those will meet on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I do know like student council, for example, is before school. And that will all be on the website when they're actually running. Late bus, like I was talking about, we have 3 late buses. It's not your normal school bus that you take in the morning and at the end of the day. We have East, West, and Central. Late buses come about 3:45 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that, if you're in club, activity, sport, great. Another really good use of this late bus that we have is if you need extra help from a teacher. It's a really good time to schedule a teacher. Just reach out to them, set up a time, stay after on one of those days, get some extra help. If you need to study, get some extra homework help, anything like that. It's a really good opportunity to just sit one-on-one with the teacher and get caught up and then hop on the late bus. So student support, I'm going to talk about crew a little bit. So crew up here is our SEL program that we run here. It is every other week on Wednesdays. The schedule will be a little different on that day. Crew is during homeroom, so you stay in your homeroom class a little bit longer. You'll be with a small group of kids. Our homerooms are pretty small, and it's a really great time. You learn a lot of different SEL activities. You learn to positive connections with different teachers and other students. Hopefully build a really good relationship with a trusted adult in the building. Learn some communication skills, decision-making skills. The students, you'll get used to this pretty easily when we start having crew schedule. It's a little bit different, the lunch periods are a little different. We will help you the first couple times get navigated with that schedule, okay? It's about 40 minutes during homeroom, you stay in homeroom, and then you go right off the first period. You still have every period the rest of the day. Moving forward to transition stuff. So, we have a lot of different things coming up for all of you. Big one is Move Up Day. So you will all be coming over here in a couple of weeks, probably June 4th. Perfect, June 4th. You'll all be taking a field trip over to the school. The school hallways, classrooms will be, all other kids are going to be doing something else, so you'll have kind of a nice opportunity to walk around the building with small groups with your classes. We'll have the club poster set up. We'll have different groups that you can talk with, I'll be up in probably in the library doing a little presentation about a couple of things. Please come say hi. There'll be teachers out in the hallway, introduce yourself. My goal is to hopefully get to know all of your names by the end of 7th grade. We'll see how that goes, but please, come say hi to me, introduce yourself. Move Up Day is a great opportunity. Another great thing is our open door day. So typically we have this the week before school starts. We said earlier, it's a really good time. Come into the school, low stress, test your locker out a bunch of times. If you want to put locker shelves in, if you want to hang a mirror up, put your school supplies in there, anything like that. It's a really good time. Come with, come with a bag, whatever you need. Practice your locker. Walk around the building, find where your classrooms are. There'll be a bunch of us here in the building. Another opportunity to come say hi. And trust me what we said earlier, lockers. It's all good. You will all figure it out. All right. And then also Chromebook distribution days will be the week prior. So on that open door day, we'll have Chromebooks set up. You can come by, pick up your Chromebook, pick up your charger. Big thing with that, make sure you are charging your Chromebook every night. So first day when you're in, Chromebooks are charged and ready to roll. So we're super excited to have everyone. And I'm gonna pass it off back to Mr. Foley.
Is that it? We have 30 minutes. Let's go play.
Well done, Mr. Gander, thank you. So why don't we do about 10 questions, and then our team will be up here to answer more specific individual questions. So we just gave you a lot of information. Anybody have questions? Go ahead.
Students are assigned a color-coded team, and they have that as a goal?
No. So we have, good question. So we have 7 teams. 3.5 teams in 7th grade, and a different 3.5 teams in 8th grade. The half team is the maroon team. So if you get assigned the maroon team, don't worry about it. It's just 2 classes of 7th graders and 2 classes of 8th graders. They never mix. Okay, so it's a half team. They go to, our 7th graders go to the 4 English, Math, Science, Social Studies teachers on the maroon team. So there are 2 classes of 7th graders that do that cycle and 2 classes of 8th graders that do that same cycle. There's a small number of kids that loop, but that's something very, very small number of kids. So there are 85 kids in the team, 85 or 6. We're looping oftentimes. That's what our request. Go ahead, Peter. We don't offer soccer. One of the rationales for that is that there's a lot of soccer in town, there's a lot of soccer around, so we can really need to replicate that. Soccer, we bought soccer. Other questions? Go ahead. So we try to be as absolutely accommodating as possible on scheduling math placement tests. So that's something that just reach out to Ms. Innes, and it's not unusual to have a small number of kids take the math placement test just before school starts. Again, that's another reason why we don't release the schedules until just before school starts, because that will happen. All the teams have to be balanced. Okay, same number of kids in honors classes, the size of the classes have to be the same. Go ahead in the back. It's basically a combined team for boys and girls for cross country in the fall and track in the spring. Go ahead, sir.
Sign up for clubs and sports, does that happen through Power School as well?
Power School, no. As Mr. Gandro mentioned, who is the girls varsity tennis coach at high school, it's through a separate website. So that will be driven through the website. So what we try to do is we'll be on the announcements in the morning to let the kids know it's coming. And then we'll send those same announcements in our weekly newsletter of these are the things that are coming, and you'll get a separate email or parent square notice that these things are coming. In terms of, hey, heads up, cross-country team, sign-ups, all of that. Go ahead.
Do you have to watch a game for theater?
So for the fall play and the spring play, it is audition, but just about everybody. So I think you're going to be auditioning for a specific role. We've been working with Skyrise for the past 15, 16 years. They do a fantastic job. If that's something that you're interested in, I've never heard of a kid who has gone out to the play and not made the play. So it's just a matter of what role are you going to be performing on in that. Are you the lead, or are you, a secondary character, or someone like me, like tech group. Go ahead.
Students that are in band or one of the other music ensembles, are they missing specials?
No.
On certain
No. So, if you have, and this is one of the things that I've been trying to explain to Mr. Connery, much to his chagrin, are music sectionals. And it's a double-edged sword because it is incredibly complicated to schedule. And it is a luxury of luxuries to be able to have. So the music sectionals are small group, and I mean small, group instrumentation, grade level by instrument. So the 7th grade trumpets practice together, the 8th grade clarinets practice together. That is the luxury of luxuries, and is definitely a Westboro thing. So if you have a sectional that meets during the day for 7th grade trumpet, you're not going to PE, okay? So when you don't go to PE during the day, you're going to go to PE 7th period. So you're missing one of your academic support classes on team as a result of that. And nobody misses anything. There's no pull-up, you're not going to miss anything, and that's, again, why it takes so long to get our scheduling done, for just those reasons. Good question. Go ahead. Yes, absolutely. If that is absolutely always there. It also goes the other way. So if somebody's knocking it out of the park, our teachers have it happens. We can move you up, and we can adjust your schedule and move you down. It's 7th grade. We want to give you the best experience possible. Okay, so yes, it can go up, and yes, absolutely it can come down if it's not a good fit. Go ahead.
Within the teams, like say the red team,
Sure.
do the kids mix for different core classes,
Yeah.
or is it like one group that's staying together for each class? That makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. In 7th grade, because there's only 2 math levels, there's a lot more interplay between them. Okay, in terms of, so it's not going to be the same cohort of kids going from English class to math class. They're not going to be together absolutely all day long. Well, some of them, yes, but that's not the case. There is a good deal of mixing between that on team. Go ahead. That's determined by you. And so this is, and especially, we get this question all the time, and it really is about maturity, okay, for your kids, in terms of time management. How much time do they have? Are they overscheduled? Is there too much on their plate at this point? So that's something that, as they're getting older and they're doing a lot more stuff, you really got to figure that out. We have kids that do everything. Because they can handle it. They have the executive functioning skills. They are just absolutely on top of everything. There is some kids that probably shouldn't be doing. But that's absolutely a family decision. And as Mr. Kendrick and Ms. McCann mentioned, there's going to be an activity fee that's going to be attached to that. So that's also a consideration for them. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Are you allowed to do band and chorus or orchestra and chorus?
Sorry about this one, Mr. Connery. That's a yes. We do everything for everybody. And you can do be a music though with band and chorus and orchestra and chorus. You can't do band and orchestra though. Go ahead. Teachers is all, as Mrs. Connery mentioned, there's an administrator here until the late bus leaves, so they're still kids. We absolutely have eyes on them throughout the course of the day. As Mrs. Connery mentioned, when kids get off the bus in the morning, 7th graders come in here, there's an adult in here. At the end of the day, we have 2 busways, so 12 buses line up, the high school, 12 buses line up here, and then we switch. So they will always be supervised. Go ahead.
How will we still go on maths for this
Again, please.
How will we register for maths?
Are you registered for it? There's information in the slide deck that we're going to share with you, and we will be sending that information on your contact us. So that will also be on our website. It's not through Power School. The math placement test is not through Power School. It is with email exchanges with Ms. Ennis. You're welcome. Go ahead.
Will sports and clubs that happen after school?
So most of the sports and clubs happen, all of the sports happen after school. And we typically want to run that such that we can get your kids on the late bus. So most of the sports in the clubs end by 3:45, so your kids can get on the late bus so that they can get home. We have some clubs, and especially some of our tryout music programs, like the jazz band, that happen before school, and it relies on parent drop-off. Okay? When you get, so again, math question, when you get the letter from Bill Pond after Memorial Day, that will be your math placement. So that's your recommendation. If you're not happy with that, then you can, if you want to go into the honors, try the honors program at that point. At that point, you can register for the math placement test, and we will have that information on our website as part of the slide deck. You have to get home. Yeah, that's fine. You're welcome. You can walk here, you can ride your bike. We have a lot of kids ride their bike. But again, that's between you and your mom and dad. In terms of, we're not getting into who's walking, who's not walking, because you're in 7th grade now, you should be able to figure that out. And if you want to ride your bike, you can ride your bike. Always wear a helmet. In the back.
Hi, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities around music, which is absolutely wonderful, but we haven't heard anything about art this evening. Are there any opportunities for students to get art instruction?
We have a number of art clubs that happen after school. So there's a pottery club, there's an art club, and I think we're still doing anime club. So those are all after school. And unfortunately, we don't have an art class for 7th graders. It's just going to be the clubs. The art academic class is in 8th grade. Go ahead. What's that? So we have, so the late bus, how that functions is, there are only 3 of them, east, west, and central. So if you live on the, over by Park Village, east side of town, you get on that bus. If you live around Fisher Street, you get on the central portion, or if you're, so it's just, it's based geographically on the town, east, west, and central. We have a published list of which stops each of those buses goes to. It's not going to go to your house. You just have to find the closest stop to your house. Go ahead. So if you want to change a level during the course of the school year, that's very rare for that to happen. So if you want to change a level, that's best done during the course of the summer before the school year starts. And that's the whole placement test waiver that we discussed. Other questions? Go ahead, this will be the last one.
Are there any school dress codes/rules?
Yes. So we try to follow the law on that, okay? And the law is that your parents cannot interrupt instruction, okay? And we have some very specific things that are listed by recent case law that are in our student handbook, but your parents cannot interrupt instruction. And that's the litmus test that we will use to determine if we need to ask you to change your clothes. Okay? Are you interrupting instruction? Can we describe the level of disruption that you are causing? Yes. So that's a big yes. And the rules are clearly laid out in our handbook. Oh, yeah, no hats. No hats. We do not, you cannot wear a hat. No hats. No hats, no hoods. Okay, our team's going to be up here for about 5 to 10 minutes. If you have any specific questions, you can come on up and ask. Thank you.